Hey guys, Carlos here from Angler's Lifestyle. We are fishing the deeper side of Sandy Wool Lake today. There's no expectations of catching a fish, all right? But it's been 3 weeks since the last plant, maybe even longer, and that was catfish then. So we wanted to try the deep side here. First of all, there's nice shade when the sun comes up this side. All these trees, I believe these are just oak trees, are giving us a pretty good shade. And we're up here, way above the banks, casted out a couple of directions. And over here, we have Janet fishing with a telescopic rod, worm, and the pencil float that I've got rigged up in one of the videos. Anyway, she's trying to catch some baby bass. So there should be some baby bass out in the waters right now, and that's what, to see if she can catch any of those just for fun. Anyway, what I have here is my Akuma rocks. Okay, and what I have on the other end on that essentially is a bunch of worms that I've put on a small circle hook. Okay, and it's dropped on the ground. There's no floating or anything, just bottom rig, casted it out, and they're all moving about. Okay, and this other rod here, okay, I still have the bobber indicator, strike indicator, and I floated a worm using a power egg with a 36-inch leader to see if maybe there's still some rogue trout out, moving about out there that might take that, or similarly, maybe catfish will take it as well. But the other rod that I have here has a bell on it, and I've tightened up the bait feeder, and if the catfish strikes on that, that has a like I said, a circle hook where the hook will just set itself. So in that situation, what you need is the bell, a fairly sensitive tip, and as you can see, I've got it inclined this way, so if there's a hit, all the tip does is does this, and when it snaps back, it catches the catfish on the lip like that, or in the side of the mouth. But that's the one that have the worms on it. Anyway, we're gonna try and move about. I think it's time for us to change the recast, and we'll see what we catch today. Again, we have no expectations. We're just out here fishing for a couple hours to see if there's something that we can catch on our lines. So stay tuned. So the water line here at Sandy Wool is actually higher, and I guess we realized this morning that they are filling the lake right here. So they are filling the lake with water at the moment, and it is to my understanding that this water, the source of it is city water, and that's essentially just flowing from a pump feeding down into the lake, and this is where the water is flowing right into, right here. Right there. That's fresh water. It's dumping into the lake. I do wonder if usually on a situation like this where there's new water coming in, there's a lot of oxygen, there's a lot of stimulation going. As you can see, there's all this greenery that's growing. Likelihood there's probably fish in this area right here. So maybe I'll have Janet throw out a few of her power worms to see if she will pull up anything here this morning. Anyway, lake is getting some water, and it's flowing right into the lake, raising the level. Maybe they're getting ready to get another fish plant. Okay, so I just recasted my lines out there, and I casted further out into the deeper side of the dam. But as we wait for that, I wanted to give you a panoramic view of what this side of the lake looks like. Again, we are here on the upper banks of right side of the dam where the overhangs are, and we should be on the west side of the dam. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a panoramic view of that. So that's the dam out there, and that's a man-made dam. Okay, let me go ahead and adjust this thing for height. Right, so that's the dam out there. That's definitely man-made, and it goes up this way, and you'll see, I'll show you a panoramic view of the hills. All right, it's really beautiful and picturesque during the rainy season. When that's all green, it's pretty cool looking. But right now, you know, it's nice, and based on the clarity of the sky right now, looks like it's very three-dimensional, right? And it's very nice California rolling hills. Okay, and as I pan this around, okay, you can see the lake out there, and normally we would be fishing down, okay, at that point, okay, where those cars are. All right, that's where we normally fish, out in the point. But anyway, it's not a very big lake. It's nice to fish out here. It's definitely a different look altogether with respect to where we would normally fish on the point. But this is the deeper end of the lake, and we're kind of hoping that we've catch something today. But if we don't, it's okay. There's no expectation. Hey guys, now that catfish season is starting, I wanted to share with you the size of hooks that I carry in my bag for catfishing. At the moment, I carry 5 different types of hooks, and except for the mosquito hook, they're all circle hooks. And the reason I use circle hooks is essentially they're self-setting. Okay, we will discuss that in a minute. But the size hook that I carry today, starting from the largest, which is a Gamakatsu 7/0 hook. Okay, first of all, as far as numbering system with respect to hooks, the number as the number goes bigger on the aught, that's the number /0, that's called aught, it gets bigger. Okay, so my largest hook that I use is the Gamakatsu Octopus circle hook, and it's also offset. Okay, that's the 7/0. I just ran out of the 5/0. Okay, and the next step down is the 3/0. Okay, so if you see the size differential, I have like I said, an in between. Okay, which is the 5/0. So 7/0, 5/0, 3/0. Okay, and one that I use, that I'm using today actually on my Okuma rocks with a bunch of worms strung up to it. Anyway, I'm using the Hayabusa circle light hook. That's a size 2. Okay, and I'll show you a comparison to that. And of course, I still carry the number 10 hook. So the size differential is huge. It's enormous. All right. Again, I've used the number 10 hook, mosquito hook, for trout. Okay, and I've also caught catfish with that. All right, now I've got it rigged for trout, but you know, if the catfish is stealing the egg with worm, I've caught a pretty good size catfish. The last one that my wife caught in this one was 7 pounds. So the number 10 hook, as long as it's hooked properly, will actually catch a catfish. I used to think that there's a correlation between size of bait, size of hook, right, and what size of fish you'll catch. But you know, sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. The fish will take the bait if they truly want it. But anyway, so the comparison, the size dramatic comparison of a number 10 hook versus number 7 is substantial. This is the number 2 hook. Okay, it's a circle hook and it's got an offset as well. I pre-rigged my leaders and I use a 25-pound leader. So it's a monofilament. It's from Catfishing. Okay, and this leader is meant for catfishing as well as stripers and larger fish that their teeth is quite sharp. So this will definitely prevent the catfish from breaking the line. But anyway, so here is the size 2 Hayabusa hook. All right, and compared to a number 10 hook, all right, that's a pretty good size differential, right? So that's a number 10 hook and that's a number 2 hook. All right, so I have this rigged up with a bunch of worms. I have 3 or 4 worms today that I've set out there using this hook. Now, the 7/0 hook I use, let me show you the comparison in size. All right, that's a pretty good size comparison. When I'm baiting with chicken liver, I definitely use this 7/0 hook. And this 7/0 hook, I pre-rig it as well with an egg loop knot. So, not sure if you can see that. This here, okay, will help hold the chicken liver in place. So after I, set up, I bait this hook with chicken liver, which is, quite substantial. All right, I use this to cinch. Okay, so imagine the chicken livers like that. I use this to cinch, all right, the chicken liver in place, and it stays there pretty good. Most fishermen that I know use the fisherman's twine. Okay, and once they've baited the hook with chicken liver, they go ahead and use the twine to hold the bait in place. But the egg loop knot is a pretty cool trick. Okay, so I don't have to deal with that. Now, again, I reuse this leader, and it's pretty effective. Again, this is a 25-pound monofilament leader that'll prevent from breaking, as well as help bring in the bigger fish. These planted catfish are not that big anyway. They're be lucky if we get anything that's 5 pounds, 7 pounds in these lakes. But that's what I use the egg loop knot for when I'm slinging chicken liver out there. When fishing for catfish, your hook selection is quite important based on the type of bait that you will be fishing with. And the larger hooks, you tend to use that with, like I said, the chicken liver, as well as the anchovies, shrimp, and things like that. And again, depending on the size of shrimp that you would bait with, you would size your hook accordingly. And as anything else, make sure that your hook point is exposed so that the catfish will definitely get caught as it nibbles and maybe hopefully not swallow that. But the circle hook, it's nice, as I've said, because they auto set. Okay, so once the catfish picks up the bait, okay, it'll put it in its mouth, and then as it swims away, or as it turns its head, that circle hook would simply set on the side of its mouth, and then will get caught. And if you have a bell on your rod, it's a pretty good indication that you have a bite. And as the rod tip snaps like this, that snap motion will definitely set that circle hook in place. So my recommendation is get yourself at least these sizes: 7/0, 5/0, 3/0, and the number 2 circle hook if you can find that. But always keep that number 10 or the number 8 actually would work even better. But the number 10 is good because I float the worm using a power egg. I also understand that there's another product aside from me using the power egg to float the worm, and there's also a product called a corky, which is a dense foam, and they come with different type of colors, different type of sizes, and it'll help float your bait up in the column in the water. So it'll essentially make it visible for the fish to take your bait. But anyway, again, these size hooks is quite important based on your bait size, and I highly recommend that you pick up a few of these. Okay, these packs that I buy have a quantity 25 on them, and I've had this for quite a while now. And these gamakatsus are almost indestructible. You can reuse them all the time unless you lose the rig. I like them, they're very well made. This Hayabusa, like I said, I use this to when I'm hooking a lot of worms, little small worms on my hook. And again, the more the merrier, and they start to move around, they get really active, and all that vibration and movement, the catfish loves that, absolutely loves that. The larger hook, you would use it for, again, chicken liver, as well as maybe night crawlers, you string along. But more importantly, regardless of what hook you use, make sure the hook point, okay, is well exposed, and that will allow you to get a better hook set and more catches. So hopefully you learned a little bit about that. Go get yourself some hooks. So I've been asked what type of line should they use for catfishing, and my answer to that essentially is it really depends on the size of catfish that you're targeting for. I have said this a few times that I tend to set up my rods and reels and my lines generic, and I try to stay within the spec of my reels as well as my rod. So my Okuma rocks is set up as such where my lines, okay, my main line, I'm using Casking Fluorocoat 10 pounds. So this is a sort of a copolymer line that has a fluorocarbon coating on it. So it's very slick, it's very versatile, and it's 10 pounds. The reel itself can handle up to 12 pounds, but again, I try to stay within the spec of the reel itself. So I have the Okuma Bait Feeder ABF 30 on my Okuma Rocks rods, and I have 10-pound fluorocoat line on that. And again, I use that for trout as well as catfish. And that 10-pound line has pulled as much as 7-8 pound catfish, and it works just fine. Okay. Would I need a heavier rod? Absolutely. If you are casting heavier weights and heavier baits out there, like chicken liver, yes, I do use my my Shakespeare GX2 for that purpose, as well as my Cavella whooping sticks. But for purposes of tossing worms and again marshmallows or anything like that, these Okuma rocks works just fine. Well guys, so I've been fishing pretty much all day, and the water level has gone really high. The city of Milpitas is filling up the lake here at Sandy Wool with water. So the volume of water is incredibly high. Anyway, the water is clear, wind's blowing, and pretty much been happening all day as my bobber just keep on going up and down based on the wind itself. So as you can see right there, it's all the way up. Can you see it? Right? And that's based on the wind itself. And as far as this guy with the bell, did not get any nibble whatsoever. So just for fun, We're gonna go ahead and ring it just for fun. No catches, nothing. So anyway, it happens like that. Tried a couple rigs. Tried chartreuse worm, tried brown worms, and also tried power bait, and nothing. So we're gonna start changing our tactics from here on out. We're gonna be fishing from 4 in the afternoon on to the close of the park. And it's definitely catfish season. Anyway, as always, come fish with us sometime. See ya.